I grew up in the Philippines, so that's a predominantly Catholic country, and my mom was a very devout Catholic. She was very keen for us to have those values. But I think my time at the Ateneo de Manila University, which is a Jesuit-run university in Manila, was quite instrumental in terms of forming my faith and my sense of social justice. I think by the time I studied there, there wasn't as many Jesuit teachers or lecturers, but some of their ethos really permeated not just the classroom, but basically the atmosphere at the university, which was that, you know, it's not enough to have faith, you have to actually act on that faith. The most crucial thing for me in terms of writing, why I write, is storytelling. That's a big tradition from my childhood, you know, telling stories. And also I think going back to that social justice streak that I picked up, it seemed to me that a lot of what I do is offering a narrative that actually looks at the things that matter, that, you know, what makes us human, what does it mean to be human, what is the right thing to do, what does it mean to be a good person. So a lot of that informs the way that I write. And in fact, and I've said this to the editors at a meeting, that, you know, most times when I actually submit a piece, it was me grappling with an issue. It'll be 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, one time it's midnight and I saw the news and I decided to respond to it. A lot of the impulse to write is actually just thrashing out in my head why something bothers me and what I think should be the way forward. You know, part of my journey, you know, as a migrant is to actually sort of come to the realization that it's not all sunshine and, you know, happy. You know, I think there was a huge culture shock for me, because I arrived thinking this is a very enlightened society and I expected a lot, and I became quite disillusioned. I had some experiences and did a bit of reading that, you know, that brought out the shadows behind all that, you know, sunshine. So in that sense, my interest in social justice hasn't really changed. I had to sort of reconcile myself to the idea that the poverty here is probably slightly different to the absolute poverty that's in the Philippines, but people suffer all the same. Indigenous peoples in the Philippines are marginalised in the same way that Indigenous peoples in Australia are marginalised still. And I suppose in that sense, it's more horrific to me because Australia actually has the means to be able to redress this imbalance. In my first year, in my first few years in Australia, you know, the Tampa affair happened, the children overboard happened. I think 7 months after I moved here, a man self-immolated in front of Parliament because he was actually an official refugee, but he couldn't reconcile with his family because one of his daughters has cerebral palsy. So it was one of these. And then the Cronulla riots happened as well. So I really was a little heartbroken, actually, because I felt I had a lot to look forward to. But then, you know, I found that there was such a underside, you know, to the politics and to the culture. So for a long, long time, I sort of, even though I was eligible to become a citizen in 2004, I think it might have been, I held off. And a lot of my family and my relatives and my friends, you know, they didn't push, but they did wonder why I wouldn't take the opportunity that quite a number of people would probably, you know, give their whole world for, you know, to be able to apply for citizenship. And I held off only because I came from the position of having the luxury to say, he's not my Prime Minister, this isn't my government, you know, so I sort of lived in this denial, and I was able to sort of be detached. As Labour won in the 2007 2007 election, and even in the campaign, it felt as if the discourse had changed. It felt as if the political discourse had changed, the public debate had changed, and it felt as if we were talking about the things that I was really passionate about, that I was interested in, things like climate change, the apology to the stolen generations, all that sort of stuff. So it felt as if this was the Australia that I really wanted to see when I first arrived. And so, yeah, it kind of sort of plateaued, and now I'm a little disheartened. I'm a lot disheartened. But I think what changed was, you know, in the time that I'd been here, was my own language also changed. And I noticed that when I started saying our athletes, our politicians, and we could be better, we should be a better country. And the moment I noticed that my language had changed, I knew that I was taking ownership of the things that were happening in Australia, as if I had a stake in them, and that I could actually legitimately push for the sort of Australia that I want. So I thought it was time, and I decided to sort of take that step.